Well, we're joined here with Richard Peil, new director on the board of the Central Coast Mariners. Richard, thanks for sitting with us.
Thank you for giving me your time.
There's been a bit of a process, of course, with you signing onto the board. Do you have any confirmation yet if you've been accepted into the role of chairman?
As I sit here today, unfortunately, it's not confirmed, but I don't see there being any issues with being appointed. Yeah, it's just going through the process with the league to go through all the checks that they should rightly go through, which I'm glad they're actually doing. They should be choosy with the people they let on there. But like I said, I've already been attending the meetings with the other chairmen, so that's a good sign. I think it's just ticking the boxes, I hope.
So if you'd like, maybe just give us just a brief story of Richard Peil.
To step back, I was born in England, same as Monty. We were both born in Leeds, both lived in housing estates in Leeds, so we have very, very similar upbringing. Our parents very similar stories. Moved out here when I was 8. Was very lucky enough to get my first team debut at the Wollongong Wolves under Willie Wallace, the Celtic legend, as a 15-year-old in a cup match, and was lucky enough to be scouted by Huddersfield. So I ended up back in Australia, back in the NSL for a little bit, and made enough money from football to get into my first health club. I ended up at the Mariners because my son, who had been finishing his school off back in the UK at a football academy, came back on holidays. My wife and I were very keen to keep him in Australia. We got an opportunity for him to do a 3-day trial at the Mariners, and he performed pretty well enough to actually get offered one of the spots in the youth academy. So we were very happy about that. Met Monty, realised we had a very similar background and got along really well. Then I met Sean, the CEO, through a mutual acquaintance, and really enjoyed my time with Monty and Sean and many other people at the club, and decided to contact Mike Charlesworth and make him an offer that obviously was good enough for him to accept.
Mike Charlesworth, of course, identified you as somebody who could take the club out of where it's been over the past few years, labeled the survival mode, and now into a new stage. What do you feel like that new stage is? Like, what's going to be the tangible change?
My goal is to work with the football side of this business to make sure that the product that we put on the field is exciting for fans to watch. And I honestly believe that we have the best coaches in the league. And I don't say that just to say it, I actually believe that. I know Monty and Serge will go on and coach in much higher leagues someday. We're lucky enough to have them for now. My vision is to make every home game more than just the 90 minutes on the field. Sean and I are working, and the whole team are working together to make it a whole event, not just 90 minutes of football, entertainment as fans arrive, entertainment at halftime that is interesting, and eventually one day maybe some entertainment post-match as well. Once we start building up our member base, that's the catalyst for us to then hopefully drag in more corporate dollars and get to that level where, as a business, the Mariners is at least washing its face, which both Sean and I are very confident we will get it to that level. Probably take us 3 to 4 seasons, but that's our goal. I believe the Central Coast Mariners belongs on the Central Coast. I've seen it on social media. How long before he moves the club to Canberra? That's not happening while I'm here. I have no intention of doing that. Our goal over the next 3 years in particular is to make the club a sustainable business and absolutely keep it on the Central Coast and continue the great name of the Mariners in this region.
Just quickly want to go back to Monty. It seems that the two of you share a preference or an interest in the academy and on growing grassroots talent from the Central Coast and from the academy.
We already have the number 1 ranked academy in Asia in regards to first youth academy players moving through to our first team, 17th in the world, and we want to amplify that. That's our goal, which means that we need to have the best coaches. We need to provide schooling and, some accommodation options for people on the coast. We need to have the best sports science that's available. We need to get more games for our young guys. If you go overseas, young guys are playing 40 to 50 games. In Australia, our young guys are playing 25 games. It's not enough.
You talk about the sports science department, and to my mind, this is something which you would probably know quite a bit about because of your career history. What can you sort of articulate, I guess, what the role of sports science is? I mean, it's off the scenes, people don't see it, but how important is it for the first team succeeding?
Candidly, in Australia, we're still not utilising, probably because of budgetary restrictions, all the sports science that's out there. We don't have to guess anymore on overloads of players, young players. We can get biometric feedback that allows us to, it tells us very clearly whether our players, we can overload them more or whether they're getting close to overload. So that's the number one thing that I'll be bringing into the club next year, both for the first team and for the youth academy, is technology that allows us to safely push our players to the limits. Monty and Serge will look after the football side of it. I'll put together a team that looks after the sports science and make our players the best athletes. When you combine those together, I believe we're a really good chance of producing English Premier League players.
So I just want to change tack quickly and talk about the women's team. So yep. Of course, the A-League is trying to bring together both the women's and the men's, and for the clubs together. The Mariners have suggested that with your input now in the club, that the proposal can be adjusted a little bit. Can you maybe talk us through a little bit what that might look like?
I can't give you total a finite answer on that, unfortunately, because it's still the league haven't actually decided when they're going to admit us to the league. It's very, very close. I guess from Sean's perspective, me coming on board, and I am very passionate about women's sport. I have a 14-year-old daughter myself, so I'm very passionate about promoting women's sports. So I guess the difference with me coming on board is that I'm prepared to fund the shortfall of the club from year one, which we hope is next year. But as we sit here today, we actually don't know that. We'd love it to coincide with the Women's World Cup. I think there's many benefits for us for that. I believe the worst case scenario would be the year after, but we're actually shooting to try and get a women's team for next year is our goal. So we're already a little bit behind the 8 ball, and I hope the league make a decision quickly, because I know players are getting signed already. So, it's time's running out for a decision on that. But I know there's a process the league have to go through. It's not as easy as just saying, yes, you're in. There's a lot they need to consider, and they're doing the right thing on that front. So, yeah, hopefully we have a definitive decision very soon.
I guess you feel you're in a waiting position then. You've put everything together, your proposal's ready, and it's just a pending approval.
Yes, it is.
All right. So you've got the training facilities and the commercial resources all organized, pending approval?
We have done as much work as we can to have all those things in place. The difficulty is that we don't know whether we're in the league next year. So have we negotiated what we need? Yes, we have. Have we signed agreements to do that? We actually haven't, because we're not in a position to sign things that we don't know if we're going to have to use. So it's frustrating, but I understand why the league have to take the time to make the decision. So I'm definitely not blaming the league for that. I just would like to know yes or no, and it's yes, it's next year, or yes, it's the year after. That's what we're waiting for at the moment.